Hello everyone, welcome to the channel of MeteoMark Weather here. It's great to have you here with breaking continued coverage on Major Hurricane Milton. Back up to a Category 5, we'll see just how long it can hold this, and does this have implications for the landfall Wednesday evening into Wednesday night? Let's get into it. And I wanted to show you the visible satellite view as the sun was setting Tuesday evening. Look at that. You can see how cloudy the eye was and then how it became much more visible. Let me just zoom in just a tad. Look at that perfect picture. Taking a look at our infrared satellite view of Milton here, you can see it went through an eyewall replacement cycle last night into this morning. You can see how the eye became much more visible as we went through the afternoon hours. It's getting that donut shape back, and it's back up to a Category 5. And unfortunately, look at these higher cloud tops to the northeast here. This thing's going to be spreading moisture well up ahead of it, saturating the soil for much of Florida. But you can see this thing's becoming quite a buzzsaw again, and it will continue to increase in size. So our simulated satellite view on our HWRF hurricane model, very ominous just north of Cancun. As we wake up tomorrow morning, this is what's going to be staring Florida down. This is downright scary. Look at the structure on this storm. Still very much intact, heading right for the West Florida coast. Now, as we go throughout the day, you start to see it starts to lose some of its higher cloud tops. Still intact, though. The wind shear will start to develop over at dry air on the southwest side here. But one thing's for sure, as this thing interacts with the trough to the northeast, that could keep this thing actually going. And look how, it's essentially unraveling. But as it's doing so, it's doubling its wind field as it approaches the coastline here. So as we head into Wednesday evening, into Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, look at this storm. Tremendous impacts up and down the west coast here. Just because you're not near the eye doesn't mean you're not going to see major impacts. And as we head through Thursday morning, there it is, pushing off the east coast as it starts to accelerate and become extra tropical. All right, so looking at the European run here, you can see as we go out in time, that moisture really starts to build out ahead of it, unfortunately, and that's going to really saturate, things. Florida's been getting those showers and thunderstorms. Now, as we head towards 8 p.m. on Wednesday, here it is just off the coast, so things have slowed down just a tad, but don't let your guard down. This thing's really going to start to accelerate, and there it is. The European just bringing it in just south of Tampa. It's kind of strange because it looks like it's almost the middle of the night, early morning hours now. So the Euro starts to slow it down initially towards the coast. The only thing I can think of here is it's interacting with the trough. So there's going to be an initial slowdown, unfortunately, as it makes landfall. But the eye is going to be huge of this thing. So it's going to be pummeling a tremendous area here. You can see from Tampa down to Northport and Cape Coral, maybe as far north as Spring Hill. And then as we continue in time, look at this. It does start to accelerate off the coast as we head later on Thursday evening. So it does, the eastern part of the state, it'll be short-lived. It'll be a blink of an eye almost, but there will be some problems as well. Hurricane conditions, tropical storm conditions. And there it is. It captures it out to sea there. And looking at our GFS run here, as you can see, this thing is going to really blow up in size. So yeah, it may weaken from a 5 down to a 4, and then eventually a 3 as it nears the coast Wednesday evening and Wednesday night. But here it is. You can see how large this system's going to be with respect to Florida here. This is 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning here. And then as we head towards 5 p.m., it's still accelerating towards the northeast here. And let's see if the GFS hints at a little bit of a slowdown. It does. 2 a.m., the eastern eye wall. GFS is still a little bit further to the north here. So as you can see, from Clearwater, Tampa, down to Northport area, Sarasota right in the middle here, this is where the surge would be greatest coming in, and then just south as well. You get all the way down to Northport, Cape Coral, these areas, lots of inundation. And look at how large the circulation is. The north side will be getting tremendous rain of 9 to as much as 16 inches, so watch out for that. Plenty of freshwater flooding. And then it heads over Orlando, 11 a.m. on Thursday morning, and then look at it. It makes a very quick exit as that trough merges with it, and it kicks it out as an extra tropical system, thankfully out to sea. And before we continue with more Hurricane Milton coverage, if you've made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. Let's continue. An HWRF model, our hurricane model here, has been great with the intensity, terrible with the track, is especially handling the trough towards Florida. But here it is, keeping it 920 some millibars here. Obviously, it's bombed out a bit more on Tuesday evening here with those 165, 170 mile an hour winds. But look at this as we continue towards 11 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Still 925 here, cranking this thing. You see it starts to get bigger and the feeder bands start to come on shore here. So you're going to start to experience impacts right around early to mid-afternoon here pretty quickly. It does start to come up, 948 millibars here. This run of the hurricane models actually coming in a bit further south here, just like the Euro and the GFS, which I'll show you momentarily. Look at this. So tremendous impact southward to Cape Coral, Northport, Sarasota. This one's still bringing it into Tampa, but if you remember, the hurricane model before, like yesterday, was all the way north of Tampa here. So this run's bringing it right into Tampa, 956 millibars, and then cutting right across to Orlando here. So you can see what's happening here. This structure of the storm is huge. There's going to be massive storm surge. We're going to go over all the storm surge that we're expected with this storm. So let me show you the HMON model here. It's our other tropical model. It's a little bit lower resolution, but it's had a very good record with this storm. Now let's see how it continues to, it's going right down the center of guidance here as we head through 11 a.m. on Wednesday. I actually put a guidance right on here for you. So that's the latest we have from the National Hurricane Center. But there it is. This one's a little bit further to the south in the HWRF, and it comes right into, this one's coming right into Tampa Bay as well, 950 millibars. So this, I mean, we still have to watch on the table here. I think it's going to come in anywhere from Tampa Bay down to maybe just north of Northport here. We're kind of narrowing it down, so to speak. It's going to be really close here. So somewhere in this region, Sarasota, unfortunately, is right in the middle of all this. Taking a look at our future radar here on our NAM 3 kilometer, look at how ominous this thing's looking, showing up very readily here on our future radar. Here's 4 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon, and as we progress towards 11 p.m., you know, some of these models are really slowing this storm down as it nears the coastline, and that would not be the best thing. That's why we've increased rainfall amounts, but here it is. The NAM 3 kilometers bringing it in just the entrance of Tampa Bay here. Sarasota on the southern eyewall here down to Northport. Look at this. This would be, we're looking at a tremendous storm here that's going to be historic here for parts of the west central part. And obviously we're going to see impacts all the way down, you know, all the way up here, all the way down, and then just much across the Florida Peninsula. And just continuing with our future radar here, there it goes inland and then out into the Atlantic as we head later on Thursday. I just want to show you the wind field here as this thing comes into the coastline here. Look at this. Yeah, I know the wind speeds can't go too much higher on this chart down here. We're down to 75, 80 miles an hour, but here it is. Some of the wind gusts indicated here as this comes in. Obviously, this doesn't do its justice, but it shows the wind field maintains itself as it comes right into Tampa Bay, Sarasota, just down to Northport here. And here it is. Very symmetrical storm coming in right around 967 millibars here on the GFS, coming right in. Major landfall here. Tremendous impacts. And here's our latest European run. 964 millibars right outside Tampa Bay there, and then coming in just south near Sarasota there. So Sarasota, the Euro has you targeted. The GFS is targeting Tampa Bay here. So it looks like we're coming in very close to a solution here of right in the middle of west central Florida. And looking at our intensity scale here of Hurricane Milton, if you look into tomorrow, this thing is still, coming down from a 5 to a 4. So it's quite possible this could make landfall very close to a 4, if not a low-end 4 or a high-end 3. So it is important to note that this is going to remain a very major hurricane with tremendous damage along the West Florida coastline. So looking at the peak storm surge map here put out by the National Hurricane Center from Anclote River here all the way down through Tampa Bay, Englewood here, we're expecting that 10 to 15 foot surge. Down through Englewood to Bonita Beach here, that's 8 to 12 feet and 5 to 8 feet down here south of these areas. So it's just looking really bad. If you look at the surge, though, this is a very large area up and down the coastline. You're going to be dealing with some inundation here. So pick out your area where you live, and that's what you can pretty much expect for the most part. This is a broadening storm, unfortunately, so widespread surge is expected. And here's a little product by the National Hurricane Center putting out the storm surge inundation map. Here's Tampa Bay area. You can see they've brought it down a little bit, not as much greater than 9 feet. Still a lot of red areas, though. This is concerning. Lots of orange, though, greater than 6 feet. So we're expecting a surge here into South Tampa, some of these islands. And if we travel down the coastline here, this is concerning for Sarasota and these areas. Look at this. We've brought many areas up to greater than 9 feet here. So this is concerning. And then we go down into the Cape Coral region, all the way down to Fort Myers. This is really concerning. Northport area, these areas looking greater than 9 feet in some of these areas. Look at this. This is a very large area we're going to be dealing with a lot of surge. So taking a look at our vorticity here gives us a good idea of what's going on upstairs here with this hurricane. There is that trough. You see it starting to interact with this trough. It's going to essentially merge with it. It brings it and it captures it up towards there between Tampa and Sarasota. So keep in mind, this eye can wobble between now and then, plus or minus 60 miles each way from where the center point is showing. So it doesn't mean Tampa Bay is completely off the hook here. Continue evacuating if you're in those very flood-prone areas. But there it is. There that trough captures it and brings it out to sea. Now that area across the Caribbean as we continue through Tuesday and Wednesday into next week, yeah, we're watching this piece of energy as we go through the middle to latter part of the month here, third week. And here's our GFS run. There it is interacting with the trough. GFS is still bringing it up more closer to Tampa Bay. This is why we can't put Tampa Bay completely off the hook for a direct hit. Here's that trough, capturing it perfectly, drawing it to the northeast, and essentially merging with the trough and becoming extratropical. Thankfully going out to sea and missing the Carolinas here. So next week, there's that energy coming together next Wednesday and Thursday. You can see it here. And we're going to be dealing with the potential here. The GFS has been very consistent with this. This run of the GFS, look at this, swinging it westward here. But unfortunately, there's a trough up here. And ultimately, what that could mean, if this does occur, is a swing towards Florida. We have plenty of time to watch this, at least in the short term here. So don't take that with a grain of salt. But that is disturbing that we could be watching something coming out of the Northwest Caribbean. Let's take a look at our dry air analysis here, thanks to Tropical Tidbits. And there is the GFS bringing in the dry air. It's on the south side, but it's not trading into the center up to landfall here. So the GFS remains optimistic as far as intensity is concerned, keeping the storm stronger, I should say, probably more pessimistic. The European has been more optimistic with that. So as we continue with that off the coast there, it's in Florida, it's becoming extratropical. You can see right behind it. I know a lot of you don't want to hear about this, but look what's just coming right behind it. I really want to mention it this video because this is Sunday, October 13th. We could be dealing with another storm here, unfortunately, coming out of the Western Caribbean and trying to form here in the Northwest Caribbean. And look what it does. It starts to develop into a hurricane. This is something we're going to have to keep a very close watch on. Very concerning. And if we take a look at the European run here, as I said before, this is more optimistic although this model has really continued to increase the intensity up to landfall. It doesn't actually get the dry air into the center of circulation. It does start to wrap it around the southern end of it here, But unfortunately, it still looks like a major hurricane at landfall here as we head into Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. So this is terrible. And the European actually keeps it stronger for longer now, making it this extratropical bomb here off the southeast coast, and it heads out towards Bermuda. Let's see what the European show. Here it is, northwestern Caribbean. European's a little more optimistic here, but there's still something here. So next week into, say, the middle part of the month here, we have to watch this area very closely. And if we take a look at wind shear analysis here on our European run, there it is. You do start to get some vertical wind shear around this thing or on this thing right before landfall. So Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening up to landfall, but then it starts to become more extratropical as it's making landfall. So it may actually, the trough may actually re-energize the system as the wind field expands, unfortunately. And as we progress further out into next week, you can see wind shear is almost non-existent here into the Western Caribbean, where we'll be watching very intently. So getting into our rainfall totals here with the GFS, you can see, Florida is the target here, unfortunately, with those rainfall amounts of 5 to 10 inches, locally higher to 15 in some areas. And taking a look at our European run here for precipitation, very similar to the GFS. It's interesting to note that the heaviest rain is going to be on the northwest side of the circulation. That is because it's going to be coming merging with that trough, so to speak, that frontal boundary, and then interacting with it, which is going to help magnify the heavy rain, especially to the north and to the west of the eyewall. And here we go with the European model for rainfall amounts. The state of Florida is the target. Tampa up to Orlando, 6, 7, maybe 8 inches. Lesser amounts further south here where some of the drier air works in from the south, but still tremendous amounts of rain here across Florida. And if we take a look at our GFS run here, there it is. GFS really going crazy on the northwest side of this from Tampa up to Daytona Beach. 9 to as much as 16 inches of rain. Rainfall impacts are going to be severe here, especially the Tampa Bay area up to Orlando, Daytona Beach area. We're just looking at a tremendous amount of rain, 12 to 16 inches plus here. And flash flooding is a tremendous concern too. Here's that area into the fuchsia, at least a 70% chance or higher here. So let's take a look at rainfall amounts here across the Caribbean, Central America. I don't want to leave you guys out. This is what I wanted to show you for next week. Look at how moist things get here with that potential storm. We're going to be looking at rainfall totals in some of these areas. If this thing gets cranking, 150, 200 millimeters, we're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches of rain here. If you're in Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Honduras, Nicaragua, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, you could be looking at a tremendous amount of rain, even up here in the Bahamas with what's left of Milton. And if we take a look at the rest of the tropics here, because I don't want to leave you guys out, especially with this next potential storm, if we look at the rest of the tropics next week, as we get into Monday and Tuesday, there's that surge of moisture showing up here into the Western Caribbean. This is the European model, by the way, and we will be looking at the GFS here momentarily as well. You can see as we continue through the 17th into the 18th, European not really developing anything really pronounced, but you can tell usually when the European's hinting of something, you'll see this tremendous amount of moisture. There's definitely a frontal boundary somewhere in here as well. And this time of year, you have to watch up for those spin-ups. Look at this parade of moisture heading right into the Lesser Antilles as well. It's crazy. The Cape Verde season is still alive and well. And the GFS on the rest of your tropics, definitely want to make this system note here. It's already showing up very prominent on the GFS on the 13th here. Jamaica, southward to Nicaragua, the Cayman Islands getting tremendous amounts of rain here. As we head through the 14th, the 15th, it almost looks like there is definitely a frontal boundary in this as well. Lots of tropical moisture being pumped up from the Pacific as well. And as we continue in time, there it is, the 17th into the 18th into the 19th. Let me just play that for you again. I'll zoom in right around Jamaica, the Cayman Islands. Something is trying to come together here and form some sort of storm. And there it is. It barrels it right towards Cancun as a hurricane on the 20th. So this GFS run it's really interesting that it's much further west. So it's like the trough is holding back a bit more on this run. We have plenty of time to watch this. Just deal with the storm you have here for the time being in Florida, but I know a lot of you are concerned about this potential as well, and I'll keep you updated on it. And before we continue with more weather, check out these awesome, amazing maps that you won't find anywhere else.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below, along with your discount code.
Thanks everyone for watching here at MeteoMark Weather. Don't forget, we are here for you, keeping you ahead of this hurricane situation in Florida. We're going to get you through this. This is a very life-threatening situation. And don't forget, I will keep the updates coming out as long as the storm is cranking. So don't forget, you can find me on Facebook also at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern, MeteoMark.com, and also don't forget right here at YouTube. Hit that subscribe, bell notification button, like, and share the video with all your friends and family. Thanks, everyone.